Right, this time the Quick Speed Shop. Check it out. We got epoxy primer on our C10 cab, on the doors and stuff. I'm going to show you how I did it. And I had a catastrophe in the middle of my prime job, but I got it done and took care of it. So, whew, it was a lot of work, and I better get to spraying. Here we go. I'm Josh, and today we're working on the C10. We're in getting ready for primer mode. That means sanding. And I'm watching my buddy Kevin Tetz on YouTube over there. He's on the screen. I want to watch really good guy. It's been on TV for years, but he's doing bodywork and paint tutorials on Paintucation on YouTube. Go check him out. He's got a lot of good tips that I've been using on this truck. So anyways, I've been over here sanding away on this guy. I want to get a coat of primer, epoxy primer on everything, get this thing all epoxy primered out, so then we can start getting ready to sand it and get it ready for paint. And I got to do a little bit of body work first, but I've been working on the doors off camera. I've got hours and hours in sanding the doors down. I sanded the passenger side down after I put the skin on last video, which most of you didn't watch it. I don't know why. 9 out of 10, it was terrible. So anyways, maybe you're getting worn out here on the old C10. I know I am. But anyways, so I got this guy all stripped down. I've been using the SCT tool from Eastwood with the stripping disc. There were so many layers of paint and primer on stuff. I pretty much took the door jambs and all that down the bare metal. Got them worked out real nice. The top, I DA'd it with a 220 to get through the EDP. I stripped all the paint on the outside of the door frame all the way around on the inside. And this is, guys, ready for epoxy primer. There's very little body work. It's got to happen on the passenger door. There's a couple little dings from just hammering the skin around here. A couple little spots that I got to work here, and I think one spot here, and then I think a little bit right there. But very good. I put a couple more dings in the driver's door on the bottom because I didn't realize my clamps are dinging the door, but we'll body work that out. So both these guys are going to be ready for primer. What I plan on doing maybe by the end of the video is getting them set up. So you can see I'm using Summit Racing epoxy primer, and I'm going to set the things up. I got some cheap fender stands, prime at least the inside of the doors, try to work on the cab. I've been sanding away on the cab with 220. This is weld-through primer that the panel came from. I'm just DAing around the spots of the DA. I got to move this cardboard so I can DA down where I plug welded the back of it here. But just scuffing this guy up. I've been working on my drip rails, getting them all sanded up. I've got 2 layers of seam sealer in there, which is pretty ugly, but it sealed it up. So I had to fix off camera. Maybe I'll show you the other side if we got time. I had to replace the hinge plate on the bottom here, like on the one on the top, and I did the top on the other side, but I'll probably end up doing the bottom on the driver's side once I move the truck over, because if all 3 of the other ones went bad, that one's probably right behind it. So all I do is I sliced it across the top and around, peeled it open, sucked it out, slid the new one in. So that's all sealed up. I'm pretty much like kind of sanded out on this side. I got my rocker panel sanded nice. I've got to take this cardboard and cut it back. I've got some sheet plastic to sheet plastic over the frame. I'm trying to do all my work on this side, and I got to move the truck over to do the driver's side. But essentially, it's, you know, kind of tedious here. I know it's hard to watch, so that's why I haven't, you know, maybe nobody's watching because it's just sanding and nonsense. But so we got to do. It takes a long time to do this stuff. So as you can see here, the EDP is not sanded here yet. I got to DA this where all my grind marks are, DA this around. Here's the hinge plate I replaced here. I'm going to go ahead and replace the bottom one. And then I just got to work it around, do some sanding. There's a little bit of body work required. What I think I'm going to do next is I'm going to retape off my roof seam here for epoxy, for what do you call it, seam sealer. I use the brush and stuff, and it flows down good, but almost too much. So I'm going to tape it off again. I've got some in a tube with a what do you call it, with the gun, caulking gun. I think I'm going to do that. Use tape to drill the edges. I also need to seam seal the inside of this with some seam sealer. That's why I want to use a tube for that. This has got to get primed again. I never got primer on the inside of the roof yet, so I got to get that going, and then around the weld seams up here. But the floor is all set. And the dash is all primed up. So I'm going to mask with plastic through here so we can just do the outside edges. Re-epoxy everything, and then the doors I can work on the body work on the stands, get them ready. The truck just needs a tiny little bit of body work up here and 1 or 2 other little spots. we'll work on that, spot prime that stuff, get it ready to go. I'm looking into finding like a primer surfacer where I could, or a sealer, I guess. I think the epoxy primer is a good sealer, so I could probably just make sure I got no bare metal edges, scuff it all, and paint the cab right over the epoxy primer. The door is the same thing. Shoot them in epoxy and then shoot them with paint. I don't really see any reason to put another layer or something else on there. So to do my seam sealer here, I got some tape. This is, I think I bought this on Amazon, this paint tape that had good reviews for going on and off things. What the heck is that? Gotta be careful where I step because this cardboard is deceiving. But it's, what I want to do is run a bead, or run the bead of seam sealer in the gap. So the best way to do that without making a huge mess is to tape it off, and then you run your bead with the gun, and then mush it down with your finger to the edge of the tape, like sealed off, and then let it set up just a little bit, and then peel the tape off, and it kind of leaves it where you want it, you know, like flush. And if you take the tape and pull it out like this, you can steer it with your hand as you lay it down and keep a nice line. Back in like high school, I used to tape cars at a body shop, so I was good at taping at one time, but I haven't really kept up on my taping skills in forever, but it's not too bad. Gotta get a little closer to the edge there. Ooh, the stuff peels off nice too. It is Refinish Tape by K Automotive. Like I said, I bought it on Amazon, and it seems to be sticking nice. The good stuff is like 3M, or I mean, sorry, PPG tape and stuff like that. It's the good tape, but that stuff's horrendously expensive. And if you're a body shop, you'd use the good stuff, but we're not a body shop. We're just trying to get by on a hobbyist budget, doing the best we can of what we got to work with. Boom. So we got that tape down. Some of the gap is a little wider than others. It just depends on how it is, but we got our tape down there. Then I'll just put on a glove, and I'll take the goo. Where's the goo? Oh, I didn't get it out yet. Son of a gun. Now I'm going to use, where are you? You're up on the roof. I'm using Eastwood high solid seam sealer. I've used this before on cars. It's paintable in 30 minutes, fast curing, no sagging. And it just goes in a standard caulk gun, which I'll rejoin you up there in a second, as soon as I get this guy ready. All right, here I come. So I got it in the gun, and I'm just gonna start somewhere. I gotta, ooh, it's cream colored. Oh, that's plenty. So I'm just gonna go down the seam here. Oops, missed it. I'm trying to balance, not fall off the truck, because I'm standing on the box mounts, which are pretty small. But once I get it like this, I'm just going to go ahead and rub it into the seam with my finger and get her coated up on, let the extra go out on the tape, and then allow it to tack just a little bit, and then I'll peel the tape off, and the edges should fold down. Stuff is like self-leveling, sort of. The edges should fold down when I remove the tape. I'm trying to make like an even smear here. Just looking for a nice flow out of the gun. And the reason I pull the plunger back is so you don't, it takes the pressure off so it doesn't start leaking out of the tip when you're working it, and then you end up touching it somewhere where you didn't know you touched it, and then you got goo on everything for later. That all sounded really nasty? It's not. We're talking about seam sealer. Boom. And I'm going to do the same thing on the inside of the roof. I showed you between the back panel and the roof panel. I got to do the same thing. I'll tape it off. And that's inverted. This stuff hangs good. So I can go ahead and tape that seam and do it. So there we go. That's filled in a lot better. I'm going to leave it set up for a few minutes, like I said, so it can tack up a little bit before I pull the tape off, because right now it'll go everywhere. But you get the idea there. That's the next step, and then I'll let that set up overnight, and then hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to prime. What it looks like pulling the tape right now. Oh yeah. I'll show you guys in a second once I get it peeled on back. So when I peel this off, you'll notice that the line stays nice and crisp with the tape. Oh yeah, I gotta almost peel it immediately because it's starting to tack up already. I'm getting tiny little like fingers and lines that are kind of hanging up. So I'm going to peel it immediately so it can lay down. I can already see it starting to skin off just a little bit, so I'm going to let it lay down. And this is, what am I trying to say? This is, my glove. This is going to stick up. I can sand it and work with it a little bit before we prime it. But there we go. See how nice and crisp it's sticking up here. Those will just kind of dry, and then I'm going to come across it like a razor blade or sandpaper and cut it on down and get it down out of the way. Just get rid of this glove right fast. Boom. So that don't look bad. All right, I've been sanding away here on the cab. I put a little extra seam sealer. I'm trying to not have the windshield leak. And like spots like this where the upper panel is overlapped, water could get under the rubber if you left the gap open and get under the windshield. So I filled that up more. I filled this up more, some seam sealer, the other side. I got this all sanded out. I got this side all sanded up good all the way around. I got the DA out and DA'd the back of the cab and got that all hand sanded too in the edges. There are couple of little, I don't know, like defects or stamping lines. I don't know if you can see. Can you see these lines in the metal here from stamping this back panel? And they're very, I can feel them. You can see them in the primer there. This might take a little skim coat of filler and sand this out because you'd probably see it in the paint a little bit, but maybe priming it again and like blocking it and then put the paint on stuff, maybe it wouldn't be as visible, but I can feel it with my hands when I sand that down. Just very, very subtle. Seam sealer is sealing up here on the roof. It's tacking up. It's actually, it stays a little soft, so I got to be careful of it, but it filled up the seams. The top edges I just got to trim down with a razor blade and then lightly sand it down smooth, but it's got the seam there. I also taped up the inside seam on the inside of the roof and got that guy glued up there. It's actually easy to see because the seam sealer is tanned. And I did these weld seams here, and this one, just like the other side, this was a pretty big divot, and water could get under the gasket, then puke into the dashboard under the rubber, and same thing up here. It could run down that seam, and there was a big gap here between the panels, so this will get all primed over there and stay a little bit soft, but the rubber gasket should seal right up on that, and hopefully that won't have the windshield leak into the truck. So I've just been sanding away. I've just got to sand this rocker panel. I'll probably shove the truck back to the other side so I can weld up this, cut this hinge open to fix that. And then I'm going to scuff the primer here on this panel because I got a primer on the window, so I'll blow down onto here. Scuff this panel up here, which is still just black EDP coating. And pretty much will be all scuffed out on the cab after that. And I'll have to come out in the morning and do some masking. Yeah, can I get extension 347, please? Bill, what's up? Yeah, man, I just got the phone in the shop working. Hey, is Larry there? Put Larry on. What's up? Nothing, man. Just here working on the old C10, getting ready for the people to come back from break. Oh, crap, they're back now. All right, I gotta go. I'll see you later, buddy. What's up? How cool is that? I bought a pair of these phones at the swap meet last week. They're from the 60s probably, and they're out of a shop, like a warehouse or factory, and you dial up the old switchboard operator with your spinner thing there, through area code 306, wherever that is. We could look it up probably. And this is phone number 30. I've got one in the house. If I had phone lines, I could hook them up and have like an intercom between the house and the garage. That'd be pretty cool. That's pretty neat. But I mounted this one up on the wall just because it was cool. I like it. It was $30 for the pair of them. How can you go wrong? Is this tight on the wall? Good enough. And if anybody ever breaks in, you can clunk them with this thing because it's heavier than a son of a gun. I like it. All right, I got the truck rolled ahead here, and I went and I scuffed the whole inside of the roof and everything. You can see there it's got a bunch of bare metal showing. And I forgot I had the seam seal up around the, oops, I forgot a piece of tape. Hold on a minute, gotta get that out of there. Went and seam sealed around the rain gutters on the inside to seal them up, and it's been drying here. It says it's paintable within half an hour. So by the time I get this all masked up and stuff, it'll be good. I went and I wiped it down real fast with a couple of rags with some prep ball and got most of the dust off it, but I'm gonna wipe it again with some blue cloth rags, or not cloth, some blue paper rags. I used cloth the first time, which can have fuzz on it, so I'm gonna wipe it again down with cloth. But now I wanna tape it up. I found my 2-inch roll of tape. I'm gonna back tape the, down here on the rockers, the bottom edge, let some tape show like this, and then I'm gonna stick paper to it so the paper can hang down on the frame. I'm gonna back tape all across the bottom of the cab. I'll probably throw some primer on the glove box. I got that hanging here on a bungee cord, wiped off. We'll throw some primer on that. And then, where are we here? This side, same thing. I spooged up the seams on the rain gutters all the way around and the seams in the cab there. So that's setting up. And I wiped it all down. So I'm gonna probably just tape it right across this line here, which is under the cowl, so it won't matter. Blow primer on here. We're gonna do the door jambs and everything all the way around the inside and the roof and all that. Wipe it down once again, but I'm just gonna start tape it up, and we'll go from there. All right, I got everything masked off and ready for primer here, but it's too late tonight. I got to go to work tomorrow. It's Sunday night, and I don't have time to prime stuff, so I'm going to do that tomorrow night when I got more time. I got the doors laid out here, face down, masked up. I'm spraying primer inside the door panels. The door panels come out to this edge here, so I'm just going to randomly prime back there, and I've taped up the center so dust doesn't blow out of the holes. But I've got them all stripped down nice. I've got to wipe them off one more time. But we're going to fog the back sides here, but a couple of good coats on here. And then I'll probably do the body work while these are laying like this. And then, because it's not going to take much, and then reprime that, and then flip them over and prime the outsides. Or, well, actually, I got to do body work on them too. I guess I'll prime the insides. I'll let it set up, and then I'll flip them, I'll prime them all, then I'll do the body work, then I'll reprime them again. Got the inner fenders just here out of the way. The cab's all ready to spray. I've got it masked off here the best I can. But what I got to work with, it's ready just to get wiped down again and sprayed. The plastic will keep the overspray off things I want it to stay off of. And this tape sucks big time. Anyways, we're good here for shooting primer, not looking for perfection, but this will let the seam sealer tack up real good overnight and everything. We're all ready to go here. I'll wipe the whole thing off one more time. We'll do the roof, and everything that's exposed will get primered. Put a couple of good coats on the cab, at least probably two pretty medium wet heavy coats. Make sure we get enough primer on there. The only body work that needs to happen on the cab is the one spot on the roof on the other side. And I might take the wrinkles out of here. There's tiny little wrinkles that are really, really thin. They're really hard to see. That might be able to block out in primer though, so I'm not sure. I might want to still get some like high build sealer primer that you could sand in high build, or filler primer or whatever it's called. I'm not sure yet. But this epoxy makes a nice top coat too. So maybe if I can just get a good pack, I don't know. I got to look into primer some more, but everything's ready to go. The inner fenders, I'm going to do them at another time. I've just got them here out of the way. They need to be DA'd to smooth them out a little bit from the sandblasting and to clean up some rust pits. And I got to weld that little patch up there. But they're ready to go for now. The doors are anyways. So we'll leave these here till tomorrow night. And be pretty awesome to get everything gray. Finally making a step in the right direction here. And then I can do that little bit of body work right there on that spot. And I got a couple little spots I want to do here and there. Actually, that's the only spot of body work on the cab. See, here's more of those ribs. They're a little more pronounced on this side right there. So I might skim coat that with filler and just sand it real fast, just take a little bit of that out. But the cab shouldn't, except for that one spot. And then I've got to fill these plug weld holes here. I got to smooth them out because you'll see those with the Stepside. You'll see those too. The ones in the center, won't see those because of the box. So very little body work required on the cab. A little more body work required on the doors. The bottom sides here, or the outsides, when I clamp the skins on, I put tiny little dimples in them by accident, and then there's a couple of other marks. So the driver's door, that one is worse than the passenger side door for dimples, but I'm going to do a little filler work here where I welded the patches on just to smooth that out real fast. I won't make it perfect because the rubber seal pushes on there, but I want to get all these pits filled in from welding and all that, and the grinder marks. So very lightly fill that, and then be ready for primer, and then the top side and body work, and we'll be well on our way to getting this thing all one color. And then maybe soon the Hawaiian blue paint. I can't wait for that, because then we can start putting the truck back together. And that's going to start looking like something in a hurry. Put the engine, transmission, steering column, the interior, the glass, hang the front, pretty much put the whole front of the truck together with fresh paint, minus the hood, because I've got to louver that. But it'll look super awesome to get this all blue, get the doors hung, build it out, and have an awesome start for springtime for getting this thing together. All right, we're almost ready for primer here. I'm prepping the panels, wiping them down a prep ball. I've got the one door done here. I've got some lint-free, like, I don't know, kind of paperish rags, sort of. They're supposed to be lint-free. It says on them anyways. And just going ahead and wiping the doors down with prep ball here to get any contaminants off them. Got to wipe this on, then wipe it off while it dries. My cheap Amazon fender stands are wobbly. Oh yeah, it's getting some dust off there. This white tape I got is cheap, like Duck brand 2-inch masking tape, and it's absolutely horrible at sticking to things. I masked this all up last night, and then I come in today and the 2-inch tape is like coming off on its own, so I guess it's not going to stick. You know, it's not like it's going to stick on there and not be able to come off if it comes off on its own, but hopefully it won't have any overspray issues. I got to get some better quality 2-inch tape for when I actually want to paint the truck or, you know, do final action. I don't want the tape coming off. We're just going to go ahead and wipe these suckers down. I got my little like Tyvek suit on, just like from a clean room, from a circuit board thing, and just to keep my clothes are covered a lit and cat hair and whatnot. And this is just to keep kind of a sterile environment. Not that we're spraying in a sterile environment. And it keeps all the overspray off my clothes. And these are replaceable suits, so when it gets too trashed, I can just get another one. And I won't wreck everything. But we're getting some dust off. I just got to go around and wipe these guys all down. Here, good of the prep all. Hopefully you'll be all right. And then I'll wipe the truck off real fast too. I've already done the truck once, but I'll wipe it again with these white rags. You can see there's some debris, some dirt and stuff I got off there, so I think we're kind of prepped as far as we need to be for primer. Oh yeah. So I'm just going to do the same thing on the truck cab, get that all wiped down. And then I got it up to like 70 degrees in here. I'll turn the furnace off when I'm spraying, just to, you know, make sure the overspray doesn't combust in the flame. I got a window fan I can turn on to move the air around a little bit, suck the fumes out. I'm using an HVLP gun, so there shouldn't be a whole lot of fumes, but it'll be some. So let me get the truck wiped off, and then we'll be ready to mix up some primer and spray it. All right, I think I'm ready to mix up my paint. I found a mixing cup. I got my HVLP gun I shot the primer with last time. That seemed to work all right. I got to find my respirator, which I put somewhere where it wouldn't get nasty. Now I'm trying to remember where that was. All right, I located it. It was out in the other side of the garage in a cabinet where I'd put all the painting supplies in the cabinet so I wouldn't lose them. Funny how that works. And then I lose them. So this stuff mixes up 1-to-1, I believe. 1 to 2 medium wet coats. Can be top coated after 30 minutes. Mix 1-to-1 with the catalyzer. How much do we need? We got to do the whole cab inside now, so we're going to mix up a fair bunch. That'll be just what the doctor ordered right there. Everything is filthy. This is not the way to do this if you're a professional paint shop. You would have a clean area to work in, obviously, and you wouldn't just be winging it like I am with garbage, but it is primer after all. But we need to, no such thing as being too clean when you're trying to paint stuff. Good, I got over half a gallon left. Let's see how chunky it is. Ooh, it's a little thick on the bottom. This thing was super thick when I got it. See all that clumpiness? So we're gonna give her a mix up for a while. It must have been old at Summit. Or older. So fortunately I'm not gonna get 100% out of this gallon if it's that thick in the bottom. I don't know any amount of mixing is gonna mix that up. But we'll give her a thorough mix here. Now this guy, this holds 700 milliliters, so if I go to 350 on the side here, or 12 ounces, let's go to 12 ounces, let's keep it not metric. You see, get her up to 12. Easy. Easy. Right there. Boom. Makes a big old mess. We'll leave that guy with that stir stick. We'll get another stir stick to mix the catalyst in with, which is here. And I remember correctly, this spills everywhere when you pour it. We went to 12 with the primer. We got to go to 24 with the catalyst. And try not to spill it everywhere. Easy, splashing. Yep. Okay, ho. Perfect. Ooh, that stinks. That'll, once we catalyze it like this, it'll make it a lot thinner. Got another stir stick here. Let's go ahead and, oh yeah. See, now we can stir this guy up. Ooh, it's still fairly chunky. Not chunky, but it's thick. We'll stir it real nice here. And then we got a strainer. We're going to pour in the gun. I don't have any way to hold the gun, so I put it in the vise over here. You can see that right there. Can you see me? I'm stirring. Stirring, stirring, stirring. Okay, it's starting to get stirred. I think we're good there. I'm not a paint guy, but I'm going to pretend to be one today. Alright, now take this guy and pour it in the gun through my strainer. And I need to see how much we got. Oh yeah, this whole cup will fit right in there. Okay, here we go. I'm going to try out the air pressure. I got my gun here. It's a cheap Harbor Freight gun. Got to spray, I don't know, 15 PSI. About 15. Let's try it. Oh yeah. Not a fan of these HVLP guns. They're so or these top P guns, they're so heavy. This is tricky. Oops. All right. All right, I got the first coat of primer on. It didn't go as good as I wanted to. Actually, the fumes woke up the flies. I had a couple flies sticking to the roof, and I had to knock them off. But I'm having a real hard time getting up underneath the roof with that top feed gun. I'm not a top feed gun guy at all, and it's real awkward to try to get up in here. So I got out my little touch-up gun here. This guy, which I got clean right now. This is just a regular pressure pot gun, and I'm going to use that to fog the primer on the inside of the roof, and I'm going to use that to paint the inside of the roof when I paint the truck on the inside, because I just can't get that big stupid gun in here without making a mess of everything. So I got a decent coat on so far. I had to use that little touch-up gun to get under the rockers because I just couldn't get that gravity feed gun pointing up down at the rocker level. So I used that touch-up gun to get under there, and I'll do the same thing when I paint the truck. And I used it to blow up under here and stuff. But other than that, it doesn't look too bad. I need to put it a little bit heavier on the roof. It's a little model-y right now. It should be like this consistency here, because I wasn't sure what I could do. I jettisoned my second air hose because that was fighting me. The doors, I've used the touch-up gun, and I got around the door jambs better with the touch-up gun there, and I might just fog it with them too because it's a lot easier to maneuver trying to get up and in here and spray all this stuff. So I got that working for me. I'll use the big gun to spray the sides. So now there's a moth in here. Get out of here. They come out when the fumes get out to them. So it doesn't look bad. It needs another heavy wet coat. I try not to hit the hose in the thing at all. I've got to it's a little thin in the center of the roof there. I don't know if you can tell, but that little gun will allow me to get up in there and also be able to like back prime the jams in here and get spots like this. I just couldn't really maneuver that big top heavy gun around. I'm not a professional whatsoever, and I didn't run it though, but I'm hoping to get a little bit better on the roof, get that going. I might stand on the frame instead of using the step ladder and spray it across this way, and then stand on the front and spray it that way. You're supposed to prime from paint from the bottom up, so you know when you're doing the top, the overspray falls into the wet paint and goes away. But I didn't want to prime the bottom first and like be banging into it. It's like super tight in here to be spraying stuff. When I paint the truck, I'm not going to have everything all laid out like this in one shot. I'll paint the cab, then I'll paint the doors separately. I've been hanging, I got some primer on the glove box. I had the gun blowing it. It's kind of hard to hang on to it, but I got a couple, I got the first coat on there. I got to run because I couldn't see what I was doing. I should bring this out so I can see it. It's kind of is what it is. I picked right now to do this because it needed to be done, obviously, and then I hadn't seen any flies in forever, but the fumes from the epoxy make them come out and run around and get all nuts. So I'm fighting with that. It's just like a disaster, but this is at home garage building. You know, is what it is, but we'll get this done. When I go to paint this, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just paint the inside and the edge of the jams, like where the rubber goes here, right? I'll just fog some paint on the jams, and then I'll put the interior in it. Well, this is still in primer, and then I can just tape under where the moldings go, tape off the whole inside of the truck, and then just shoot the roof in the back of the cab and the outside of the rockers. I'll paint the firewall and all that stuff. That way when I'm putting the truck together, I'm not working over painted rocker panels and the outside painted finish. I'll just have paint on the inside where I need it, and then I'll just mask off the window holes and the door holes. If I edge it, blow paint in here, and then I can put a tape line right on the edge where you're not going to see it because the glass will go in here. Then I can just tape off, tape the cab right off, and then just shoot the outside of it. That'll probably be what I do, but I'll have the whole firewall painted first, so when I get to actually painting the outside, I'll be able to concentrate. This is a lot trying to paint the inside and the outside of the cab. Well, catastrophe here at the Quick Speed Shop. After I got the first layer of primer on, I got a phone call from work. I had to go in, a water main break. Actually, it was like 8:30 at night. I was about ready just to pour the second layer of paint into the paint guns and got the primer into the paint guns and got the call. By 8:30, I had to go in, and we worked on the broken water main in like 7-degree weather all night, all the way to 5:30 in the morning. It was cold. So I came back this morning at like about 6:30 by the time I got to bed and slept like the morning. Of course, you know, usually nobody calls me at work hardly at all, sometimes in and out, but I got like 5 calls today, different things. So I like got 3 hours of sleep in the morning, then I woke up and fussed around. Then I fell back asleep by accident, but so now it's nighttime again the next day, and I got to still put a second coat of primer on everything. But if you can get a look here, it's coming out good. It grayed up, and luckily epoxy you can reapply without scuffing it for like a couple days, without, you know, like I just said, without scuffing it. So we're going to be okay there. I'm going to add a second coat, one little piece of dirt there. I'm going to use that little gun, like I said, on the inside. I'm going to shoot the inside of this. I'm probably not going to film any more of this because now I've got to get the movie made for you guys. I've got to shoot the second layer primer and then go inside and finish editing everything. So yeah, we got to deal with that. So bummer. Anyways, how's the roof look? Oh, let's get up here without falling. Ah. Oh yeah, there's one of the flies. Left his wings in the roof. Actually, I'm going to sand them out since we're going to recoat it and it's dry. But it didn't do too bad. A little dry right there. Ooh, there's a little bit of dirt in it. But it'll sand down. And not the worst scenario whatsoever here. The doors need a little second coat on the big surfaces. I had sprayed the tops twice with the big gun, or the little touch-up gun, I mean. So they look pretty good. I don't even know if they need another coat, but I might hit them anyways. Here you can see through the primer a little bit. It's a little thin there, so I've only got one coat on the major part here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit it all up, all good. But yeah, I hastily tried to clean the guns before I left. I spilled primer over the floor. I left a little bit of thinner in the gun, which that's good. Woo, that's a shot of thinner right there. You know, wake you right up in the morning. I cleaned this guy out a little bit. So, hopefully I don't have any issues with my guns. Like I said, I had to drop everything and kind of run. But I think we're going to be successful here. Now it's almost 7 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and shoot the second coat of primer on it and then let it dry, leave the heat on, and then finish the video, or edit the video so I can put it out tomorrow for you guys. So I guess that's it with the primer. You get the idea. If I hadn't lost the whole day in the meantime, we'd been farther ahead. But you get the idea here. Getting her all set up for primer. Now we can start the bodywork these spots and do the bodywork on the doors. Prime it again, which I think I'll probably use the epoxy primer as a sealer. I might get I'll get some high build primer for block sanding. I never really block sanded anything before. When I painted it, I just kind of painted it. But this is going to come out pretty good. I don't know. I got to look into maybe a high build primer, do one layer for black coating or something like the block sanding, just on the doors probably. Or I don't know. It's pretty straight, so we might not need to do any of that. Just sand it and prime it and call it good. So anyways, I got to get to work real fast. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. And hopefully there's no more water main breaks right in the middle of me trying to prime my cab for my truck. We'll see you next time. Bam, here working on the old C10 at the Quick Speed Shop.